Java Age is kind of a cool name, but this isn't the only video that Mojang have released this week. Indeed, they also have an interview with Jeb where they made it official that Minecraft, Bedrock and Java will not be the same and that parity will not be achieved.
In the end, the game is a source of truth, and that's a little bit of a conundrum, I suppose.
Hello, I'm APX and parity is the stated goal of Minecraft to have the two versions of the game be level in all features. This is something that has fallen apart a bit recently, and today's Q&A Saturday is going to answer your questions about it, starting with this one: why is there a nether roof? Or sorry, let me put it this way.
Why is there a nether roof?
So yes, on Java Edition, it's actually like a glitch or a bug that you're able to go on top of the nether, and that kind of contradicts our idea of the dimension, because the dimension is supposed to be completely surrounded by bedrock.
This word bug is where the problem lies, because if it is a bug, then it will never be ported over to Bedrock, because that would be silly to port a bug over. I mean, ask the Redstoners about that one. But what's interesting is if they leave it as a bug, it's also never going to be fixed on Java, because they have an attitude of letting bugs lie there. And so you can see the problem. While this is a bug, it will never come to Bedrock, but it will stay on Java, creating a permanent parity issue between the games. The only way to fix this would be to call it a feature, but Jeb has just gone on record as saying this about the link between dimensions.
To us, the dimensions are completely separated and they are not displaced or next to each other in any way. They are completely different worlds.
This is a fun lore drop by itself, but when you consider that this is Jeb, the Chief Creative Officer and longest serving employee at Mojang, saying it, it causes a problem when he also says that he believes that the Nether is meant to be
completely surrounded by bedrock.
Because he's confirming that the Bedrock implementation is the correct one, but also at the same time confirming that there will never be parity between Bedrock and Java while that belief is held. And what's interesting is parity seems like it is just about these big fundamental issues, but there are lots of smaller ones that sit weirdly waiting too, like when will the redstone torch model be changed for Bedrock Edition? As a reminder, this is the Java redstone torch and this is the Bedrock one, and the answer is it's been 385 days and we haven't seen anyone at Mojang address it. They did show the new redstone torch model on Bedrock, but that's actually because they showed a Java snapshot for a Bedrock preview. We have not seen them actually address this, and so if you can't move a torch model over, how can you ever deal with the rest of the very long list of differences between the two versions of the game? And ultimately, what's interesting is it's not just that they're dealing with these long-standing issues, they also add new ones every single week. Literally, this week they added the mannequins to Java, and they're capable of so many cool things you might have seen, but Mega O says, I'm really hoping this is a beta to an actual NPC that you could interact with in single player one day. And you know what's funny about that? It's the fact that we already have exactly this on Bedrock, and funnily enough, I'm showing this to you on a world that is on Bedrock, so we can be above the nether roof. But look at this. This guy is an NPC that I can't just read things from, but also he can interact with me, teleporting me around to the Master or Mr. Prickly over here. What a fun name. But what's great about this is you can run commands with them, meaning that you can not just have conversations and they can teleport you around, but also you've got abilities for them to do crazy things like, for example, place down blocks. Look at this woman, Emma, right here. She can place a redstone block down, altering all sorts of other things. And yeah, what's fun about this isn't like some wild command mastery. You can actually alter this all in creative. Let's edit that dialogue, shall we? We can do this right here. Wow, we can say subscribe. But what's crazy about this is the fact that yes, this is a real part of Minecraft Bedrock. They could have been implemented on Java, but instead they made a brand new system, just like how there are different commands between Bedrock and Java. Even one of my favorite dumb examples is like the command for day, your set on Bedrock is how you set the time of day, but it's different to how you would do it on Java. Also day lock and always day. Oh, those are commands that we can use too. There are lots of different things that you can use that you might not have realized, and now you learned, I guess. Oh, it's fun, by the way. It's not just me that's concerned about the command differences between the two versions, because Bago Chips says they'd love to see some of the commands come over to Bedrock, because it's not just that the commands are different between Bedrock and Java, there are literally some that are missing. An easy example is that you can only place two structures on Bedrock. You can place all of the structures on Java, but another great example is you can't set biome. There are dozens of commands that Java has that they haven't added to Bedrock, and the reason is, you know, maybe we'll do that later, but if that is also the reason why they can't move the redstone torch model over, then I don't know how to explain anything. Which is also my answer to the Endizer's question. I still don't get what made them think that adding enormous spaces between buttons in the settings was a good idea. This is the weirdest thing about Mojang as a company. They will outwardly say something and, you know, as the only source on themselves, you have to believe them, and so they'll outwardly say that making UI changes is something that takes years for them to approve, and then what will happen is they will release a beta that has widely spaced apart menus, and then 2 weeks later it will be in the game. Look how ugly these menus are. What possessed someone at Mojang to do this, and then how did it get past all of the years of reviews and A/B testing they usually do before making changes like this? It's so ugly. How did someone do this? How do you get away with it? And why do you choose to get away with it for something so ugly? This, in my opinion, is proof that Mojang is run like an indie company. A lot of people say that, like, oh, it's Microsoft interfering, and I'm sure they set goals or targets or whatever like that, but ultimately I think that Mojang is run like an indie studio in that, yeah, people do what they want and there are general rules and people try to follow those rules, but some people clearly don't, and I would love to know who is responsible for that menu change, because I feel partially responsible. You know, this is a weird thing to say out loud, maybe this sounds like I have a god complex, but actually I talk a lot about how I try not to be super negative about previews. I try to give feedback, and then usually Mojang uses all of the feedback from the community combined to take away the negative features and keep the positive ones, right? But what's weird is I feel like for some changes, like that one, that are so obviously bad to everyone who looks at them, I think we should make more of an uproar so someone at Mojang hears about it before implementing it into the game. Usually, it is never the complaint that Mojang is moving too fast, but I think in that case, maybe it's true. Also, by the way, we need a Switch 2 upgrade ASAP. I totally agree, Arctic Jungle 4, and the good news is not only is there a feedback forum site where 200 people have upvoted that, but also the Switch 2 has continued to sell well, ensuring that it's not going to be a Minecraft Wii U situation for Nintendo, or maybe even worse, Minecraft 3DS, but instead, as you can see, Minecraft Switch 2, or rather the Switch 2 has sold 6 million, including just 2 million inside of the US alone. It's doing pretty well for a handheld console, and so that is a good sign for Minecraft deciding to actually bring it up to quality, because Minecraft on Nintendo right now is a bit of a dicey situation, even with the Switch 2 running the Switch 1 version. Speaking of improvements, Yvonne Dickinson says, I'm still hoping for glass slabs and steps, also for more fruit trees, and what's fun about this is I actually was watching some of the Minecons recently for that Minecon prediction video, and I remember seeing this from the Aquatic Update, where as you can see, Jeb actually did show off half coral slabs. This is something which is very wild to many people, but it's something he later went on record as saying, yeah, the coral block that was shown at Minecon Earth had half slabs, but we decided to go with only full blocks because half slabs are now only for crafted stone materials. That is something that he said 8 years ago, and he said a lot of other fun things in the same review, but what's most interesting about this is the fact that therefore glass slabs and steps are very, very unlikely, but what is more likely is something like, for example, calcite. The only reason I can think that calcite slabs and stairs don't exist is that calcite looks a lot like diorite, I guess you could say, but I don't think that's a very good argument, because then why add calcite to begin with? I think that Minecraft is waiting to update calcite because I think alongside amethyst, it's the two big blocks that are just kind of, you know, they came in caves and cliffs and they're waiting for their moment, and you know what? I'm waiting for that moment too. Speaking of things I'd wait for, I made a video this week about things that nobody asked for in Minecraft, where the end conclusion was that actually lots of the best features in Minecraft are ones we never asked for, because lots of the features that everyone asked for, they just forget about when they're added to the game. And one of my favorite comments was this one from Cheese and Rice Free that says the worst offender of people asking for a feature and then forgetting about it is chests in boats. People wanted them for so long, then Mojang added them and nobody uses them. This is the critical problem with, I think, in my opinion, having a player base that is diverse as Minecraft. When you have a small percentage of the player base asking for anything, it's going to be a large number of people, and it might even be the majority that surrounds you, but it might not be the majority in the real world. The example I use all the time is the end update. It's a very memey thing to be in favor of, but actually, I think that the end update would be perfect for people like, I don't know, Zach Udra from the subreddit, who made this beautiful end project. I think the end update would be perfect for people who have played, you know, thousands of days and who are looking for that next challenge. Myself and Zach might really love this, but actually, it's something like 10% of players that have been out there. Would this be good encouragement or would it not be? That's a different debate, but I think that people would have the end update and then go, okay, now I'm actually bored of this other feature. When is the ocean update coming to Minecraft? And you can kind of do this endlessly, because this is the problem with the game having so many components. Every part of the game will feel outdated, every part of the game will feel like it needs something new, and to give you just a few examples of the top of my head, farming. I mean, that comment earlier asked about fruit trees and I ignored them, so, you know, fruit trees could come to the game, that would be cool. Make farming more intensive, give us more crops, that would be great. What about fishing? When fishing was added, it just gave you fish, and then when fishing got updated, it was still over 10 years ago. What if there were more fun ways to fish? What if it changed based on the biome you went to? That's a really fun idea. You can endlessly list ideas for Minecraft, and what the developer's job is to do is to actually work out which ones make good long-term effects on the real gameplay. Or I guess the developer's job is to space out the menus a little bit and then call it quits for the day. I'm just kidding. I feel like Mojang lazy is such an easy thing to... I think Mojang lazy is one of the laziest things you can say, funnily enough. There's this concept called projection that you'll hear a whole bunch about in your life, but it's the simple idea that we find it really hard to imagine what's in other people's heads, so we just imagine that it's exactly what's in ours. That's why when you feel really jealous when you do something wrong. That's why when you look at someone who's getting paid well and living a healthy life, a happy life, you assume like, they must want to be lazy. Or if you look at like, I don't know, a billionaire, you have to assume like, yeah, I bet they do nothing all day. Even though weirdly enough, with no reason to work, a lot of them actually still do. There's all sorts of odd things about the world that just don't make sense because different people are different to you. And one of the interesting examples of this, let's come back into it, is Not an Axolotl, who says, I would love a parity update, one where they bring equality between Java, Bedrock, and port some console features. They can even use those parity features to make new things like illusioners or in raids or a new structure. But here's the fun problem as I see it. I believe that the world is made up of trade-offs. That is to say that Mojang aren't lazy, but they have so many employees that work so many hours a week. But ultimately, if they are not working overtime, and if that doesn't increase throughput, there is only so many features or changes they can make to Minecraft in a year, and so you've got to decide which are the most important changes. If they work on an ocean update, they're not working on an end update in that same time frame. If they're working on a fishing update, they're not working on a boating update, etc, etc. And so if Mojang were to create this parity update that we all dream of, because let's be honest, a lot of people do just want a world where Minecraft is Minecraft and the rest is kind of, details on the side, but even if they did decide to spend an entire 3 or 6 or 12-month period doing that, people would be like, well, I don't really care that the Minecraft feels like the other one, I would much rather have a better end. Actually, this is one of the biggest downfalls for Minecraft listening to the community, because people will say stuff like, I don't mind if Mojang, skips things out, they can work on a bug fix update, and then they'll spend months working on bugs, and people will say, where are the features? Because the community is so large and diverse that, just like my short basically tried to prove the point, actually it's really important for them to work out what the best collection of all of our opinions is, rather than listening to each and every one and then somehow trying to piece that together, because again, hundreds of millions of people playing the same game creates a bit of a problem, if I am to say. But you know what? Thinking about the world as a series of trade-offs rather than just infinite money machines and all that sort of stuff is actually kind of boring, so instead I'm just gonna say, you know what, Mojang, make a parity update, make an end update, make an ocean update, and make it all by next week, otherwise I'm calling you out as lazy. Speaking of lazy, I need to head to the airport for my flight.
Okay, I've made it to the airport, Heathrow, Terminal 2, the Queen's Terminal. Although it's actually worse than that, she's dead. Like many an early airport wake up, I woke up a lot earlier than I'd like to this morning, but also, I was up last night working on the video, so I slept for 3 hours 45 minutes, which is a particular low for me for a flight. But a little bit of a win for me is that I went to sleep perfectly after I tried, and then woke up in a shock, like, oh god, and it was 1 minute before my alarm. My body has perfectly started to understand how this works, and I love it. Anyway, the next question comes in from, oh, it's a hard to read name. I swear airports are the only place that I ever actually read a newspaper because they're free. Makes me feel very old-timey. Anyway, I'm Airbus says that they disagree with my take on parity because they believe that they should be able to play the same version on their Switch 2 as they're playing on their PC, maybe with a little bit less power because the Switch 2 is a handheld console. And actually, weirdly enough, I agree with you, and you can do that right now. It's called the Windows 10 edition of Minecraft, or just Minecraft if you're Microsoft, but that version exists right now that you can play not only the same game with the same logic between the two, but your same exact world if you want to. This is what I do when I play on my Switch 2, and it's interesting because, a lot of people... That's cool. Yep, Montreal. Okay, running. It's good when you get tracked down by the airport people. I'll finish this on the plane then. You know the announcement they do at the airport where they're like, we are calling for passengers. Oh, it's this way. We're calling for passengers on this flight. It said, we are calling for passenger on AC whatever to Montreal. What a fun thing. Yeah, I'm catching a very early morning flight today because I'm going to one of the, annoyingly with a connection, because I'm going to one of those airports that gets like 2 flights a day from the city next door to it. But whatever, it's worth it. See a new Canadian province. Probably wants to say it'd be awkward getting on the plane as the last person, but actually, it's the best opportunity. You don't have to stand in the jet bridge for hours. It's perfectly empty. I love this. There is no better feeling than an entire row to yourself, and you know you're the last person on board, so you know it's going to stay that way. Oh. But I disagree with the stance that you can't have Minecraft be the same on every platform, because actually, it is the same on every platform, it's just there's also a different edition. And I also don't agree with the stance that like, okay, so you've got to say that Minecraft, Java's the main version and Bedrock's doing its own weird thing, or that Bedrock is the main version, like Minecraft, like you believe. Everyone else is doing their own weird thing. Instead, I think it's actually a bit more that actually you can have 2 versions and have them be broadly close on the major new stuff when it's being announced and being marketed. That's important. But also then say, like, Minecraft seems to be saying right now that, like, yeah, when it comes to creator features, when it comes to major lore things or bugs, we're just not going to bother duplicating it. And that seems to be the end stance of the big parity movement that seemed like it would take over everything and make the 2 games the same. Like most good ideas, they're really good marketing, followed up by decent enough execution, and that's where I think parity has ended, or landed, at the end. Anyway, speaking of the end, just landed at Montreal, and let me just tell you, the Minecraft movie was on board, so if you're excited for an opportunity to watch it and somehow haven't, you don't need to buy it, you can just wait till your next flight. But I'm also excited to tell you about this. At Montreal, they have one of these. It's one of these like old North American relics that I love every time I'm on one. It's a bouncy escalator, or travelator. They're such a fun thing. I don't know why they don't exist more, but they're such a delight to go on. It's a trampoline and a walkway at the same time. You know, I could just be jumping around on a regular travelator. I'm gonna get to the right. Anyway, I have one last comment to get to, and it's this person who says 11 out of 10 commentary, great words, and I would like to say, can we normalize this idea of liking a video and saying great words? Because I think I did put some words in the right order, didn't I? Anyway, thank you. Goodbye.